And we're back. Episode 4, Fighting Talk, post UFC 258. Fucking hell, man. Like, you know, the first thing I want to say about that, obviously, that we're going to break down the main event and all the rest of it, but the whole card was one of my favorites. Silly
card, man. Like, top to bottom. There wasn't a bad fight, right? Like,
the only bad fight I saw, which it wasn't personally bad for me watching it, was Macy Barber getting her ass handed to her by the Grosso.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that one. If I'm honest, actually.
I'm definitely not brought into that hype train yet. I get where they're going as far as the look, maybe, and the kind of the kind of mainstream appeal that she might have, but she just seems like give it some chat. But she's got heavy hands though. She's got very, very heavy hands, man. That woman, that girl, even.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like not to like obviously like shit on her or nothing, but like that was kind of, I think that was almost like quite an important loss, if that makes sense, because she was a common event, and like not to shit on her or anything, but she was on a losing streak. She lost to Roxanne Modafferi.
Yeah.
Obviously she blew her knee out completely in that fight, but she was getting pieced up in that fight before the knee injury.
And sorry,
it's kind of like you can't really put her in a co-main event sort of slot right after this now happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was quite a pivotal loss. Not to say that she can't or won't bounce back from it, but it's a bit like, are the wheels starting to fall off a little bit now?
I mean, that's where I saw the first point of distaste is when she obviously got that knee injury during that fight, and the way she was going about it was kind of weird. She was kind of like telling the opponent to stop, I'm injured, and like the ref was like, what the fuck's going on? It was all kind of like, it was all very strange, man. And I was thinking, what the fuck is she doing?
What made it worse is the fact that she was probably fighting the only person in the entire organization that when she goes time out, the opponent's going to go, oh, okay. Cool. Like, Roxanne Modafferi's like, she's like, you know, like the nicest, least like savage, not to speak to her ability at all, or her, you know, her skill set, but just as a person, she's like super nice. Oh, did I hurt you? Like, she'll bang you in the face and be like, oh my god, let me go get you a tissue. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, clean yourself up.
That kind of made the whole situation weird, though, isn't it? It was strange.
I mean, from that point, I saw her, I saw the name, I saw the face. Didn't really like how that went. It was kind of weird. She was almost kind of annoyed that it wasn't stopped in the way she wanted it to be stopped. I was like, where are you going with that? The referee, that's the referee's job. And then fast forward to this weekend's event, and she was fighting strangely, to say the least. Her significant strikes on Oxygen were through the roof. I've never seen so many significant strikes on nothing.
Shadow boxing, and
I was like, whoa, okay. When she threw the first two, I was like, okay, we're range finding what we did. She did it the entire fight. I was like, woo.
Yeah, man. Like, my opponent could have had a sit down in between, innit? Like, just waiting for it to close the distance, because it was taking her a while, innit? It was, definitely taking her a while, man.
I mean,
the other thing that I think, again, you said a moment ago about having a slight sort of distaste at the moment, and I think a lot of that comes for, like, she was saying, I think even before she even got into the UFC, she was like, I'm going to be the youngest champion ever. And it was a bit like, all right, calm down.
You know what I mean? And they get it, and obviously it makes sense, because there is a huge void. No matter how it's almost like Nunes is too dominant for all of women's UFC. So it's kind of like she ain't as almost revered and as big as she needs to be, because there's such a gap. Like we were saying, there's such a skill gap between her and her next opponent, anyone that could challenge. And they're trying so obviously hard to plug something into that. So if there's any signs of a Conor McGregor-esque chat, they're like, here we go, we're on to a new one. And it kind of seems like that way already. I'm not sold. I mean, I'm happy for it to turn around. She's only 21 or maybe 22, something like that. But as far as the ability and the output in the octagon, it looked stupid. I don't know what the fuck she was thinking, man.
No, it wasn't good, man. It wasn't good at all. And especially forgotten her name now, and this is actually really annoying because I do know it. It's just not coming. You know what I mean? Who was the other girl on that same card that had a really good performance? We talked about it. We were texting about it when we were watching it. She's the one that sort of got known for beating up that mugger in the Brazilian girl.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Oh, I mean, what's her name? Oh my god, this is embarrassing, really.
Yeah, no, we'll have to refer to. I'll put a segue with the name there. Yeah,
we'll put it in the description when we upload this in it. But she had a really good performance. She looked great. That was seriously good, and that's the kind of thing I like to see with like the women's MMA. Obviously, we talked about like there's a bit of a gap and whatever, but we're getting more and more now. Like these girls coming through and having really good performances. And it's not to get too excited to be like, oh, this is the next Amanda Nunes or the next Valentina Shevchenko, because obviously I think that those are the top two. And I think obviously Weili Zhang is kind of getting into that kind of category now of just being super dominant.
Yeah.
But it's, and like I say, not to get too excited and be like, oh, they're the next in line for these kind of characters. But it's just really good to see when you see someone have such a good performance, and it's
good
like
talking points, really good talking points.
Like great fights just to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like, really enjoy watching them fight, and I think that's really good to see, man.
And that was a good mixed martial arts fight, should we say? Because it finished on the ground, and it wasn't like stale. Because DC was saying, wait till she goes for it, wait till she reaches for it. And then when she applied her jiu-jitsu on her, I was like, woo, she just went into the bear trap and she got fucked there. I was like, that is wicked to see, man. I was well excited to see it. And I feel so shit that I don't remember a flipping name for the life of me.
As soon as I check it, it's going to be one of them ones where I'm like, fuck, so I'm going to kick myself in it because it's like, but okay, we'll forgive ourselves. I think,
casual police.
Bro, it's gonna be...
Man, they'll be...
Okay, we've got a lot. There's a lot in my fighting brain right now. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's why.
You know what I mean?
Why.
There's so much going on that I'm sort of a bit like overwhelmed almost. Like the main event was obviously great, but even before we get into that, Pitolo versus Marquez. Even those names, I'm a bit like, oh shit, have I said that right? Have I got that? Anyway, but
fair play, that man. It's good fight, fucking good fight,
big fight, man. But I do love when someone pulls it out of the bag last ditch when they're down on points, but find that way to finish the fight. Like, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm watching a fight and I'm thinking, okay, this guy needs a finish now. He's quite clearly, even his own corner might have even said something to him in between rounds and say, look, like you are down on points, and unless the judges are on crack, like you're down on points. Yeah, so you need to find something. And then they go out in that last round and do the exact same thing they've been doing for the first two. And
I will see what you mean. Yeah, I hate that.
It sort of happens. Not, I don't want to say a lot, but we have seen it quite a bit. So when that sort of like subverts my expectation, and I'm sort of there thinking, oh man, like he's down on points. What's he gonna do? And then they pull out like one of the rounds of their life and get a great finish. I love to see that shit, man. So like, super impressed with Mark.
And even his cornering. I think I must have messaged you during the break and said something like, "That's the clearest, most concise, to the point cornering I've heard." I was like, "Cha-ching!" He heard that, and he didn't need to go like, look at me in the eye, slap in the face. He was just like, "Thank you." It's honest, but not like I'm not gonna try to save my fighter's ego. It was clear and to the point, and not only was it clear to the point, he heard it, recognized it, and went and done the business. And that fight I loved it. I was obviously rooting for not obviously, like I've got any kind of tenuous links to Hawaii, but anything to do with that Pacific kind of fighters, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. So
Max Holloway done a lot for that, like, because we're such fans of Max Holloway. I see anyone with that Hawaiian flag, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
We pretty much related. We got that same colours.
Got the Union Jack in the corner, you know what I'm saying? Like,
fight was dope, innit? Fight was all of it was good. And I'm thinking back now, I'm so main event. I can't think of anything else So you'll have to push me into reminding me some of these other fights because yeah, there's so many, dog. There's so many, bro.
Oh God. I felt like you had something on the tip of your tongue there that you wanted to get out.
It's just names again. It's just unfortunately names again. It was. I think his name's. He's fought very recently. Samayev or he's can't remember for the life of me. The guy that fought the poor man's Conor McGregor with the bald head and the beard.
Oh, Ricky Simone.
Simone. Yeah.
Yes, that was a great performance, man. And against Brian Kelleher.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Conor McGregor.
I'm sorry.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
That's funny. And he's good. Oh, he's a good fighter. He's got some bombs in his fists, isn't it? He's got real knockout power, especially for a smaller guy.
Yeah.
He's a dangerous fighter. So I think that's again makes it even more impressive what Ricky Simone did to him. Because, bro, sorry, I don't want to. Again, I keep sort of jumping from thing to thing, but in that fight, I've got to commend Ricky Simone's chin, bro. Kicks to the face, like
three times.
Did not flinch. I was like, sorry, what is the?
You can't do that. You can't do that softly, or you can't say that didn't hit where it hit. It was literally foot to chin, foot to like bottom of the face, and he walked through those. I don't know what he's on. Flipping hell, man.
It's funny. I'm watching these fights and I'm texting you and I'm texting my brother as well, yeah. And my brother texts me and he goes, Ricky Simone's head movement is looking really good. And man, you just get knocked in the face with a front kick. I was like, swear down. But no, apart from, getting caught with a couple of those, he fought a great fight, man. That was a really, really good performance from him.
I think I must have tuned in for this one. I think I tuned in from the prelims. I think I saw the whole card, and I know for next time I'm gonna have to put a board down where it's got the names because I could describe I could describe exactly who it is, what they did, and how they did it. But the names for me are escaping me today because I've got nothing on my mind but Burns and Usman. I didn't want to even say it this early, but I've got nothing on my mind but that at the minute.
I'm going to give essentially just one more shout out to a fight, and that's Anthony Hernandez. Fluffy, remember Fluffy?
Fluffy.
That was, I mean, admittedly, it was almost like it was. And again, this is where names are gonna fail me in it. But it was almost as if his opponent didn't fucking train for the fight. He got I've never seen a fighter more exhausted after one round. But he still did really, really well, and he submitted an ADCC champion, which is the first time that anyone. It's been like fucking like 20 years since a UFC fighter has submitted an ADCC champion in the octagon since Frank Mir did it. And that in itself is just like a string to his bow kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like hats off to him for that performance, man. That was really good. And I
wanted to try to quickly sneak in there and get his name because I saw him fight last time, and I'm pretty sure I said the same thing last time. Shame on you for you to be so to not put enough respect on the discipline of mixed martial arts. If you're streaking ahead in one discipline, don't think you can come around there because an average Joe. You can't call Fluffy an average Joe, but he's not exactly. He doesn't shine in any specific element of his game. He's got it all. He's an all rounder, and an all rounder. I'm so happy to see that all rounder. What's it like out of the fifth? Probably not even the top 15. I have to see what his rankings are, but he's not like the elite.
I don't think he's top 15. He's certainly not top 10. He's certainly not
exactly. And I love the fact to see that skill set out trumps a specific. Discipline, same as what I was saying, what we were talking about with Ben Askren. And you are so sick at wrestling, you're so decorated at wrestling, but do not come into the cage and think that you can trump me because I'm a master of all of these things, all of these disciplines. And I love to see that executed because our guy, Mr. Duke Nukem, he's jacked. He's
jacked.
Shit.
He's one of the biggest middleweights I've ever seen.
And how is he even that kind of weight, though, with that kind of mass on it? That doesn't make sense, man. It's crazy.
I know. And not even just big, fucking shredded as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, shredded to the socks, bro. Like,
trust me.
he's like a massive, massive ripped guy. clearly very, very sick at jiu-jitsu. Like not just anyone wins a fucking ATCC championship. I mean, but he looked lost in there with Hernandez, man. He really did.
Don't come in here and lie, and then shoot, and then constantly shoot. You're not gonna get anywhere with that. And if he's not even, like I said, not even put enough respect on the mixed martial arts element he must have been doing some boxing training, because it didn't look like he'd done any boxing training. He gassed out ridiculously, and whilst he was on the floor, which is his specialism, he seemed like he was putting everything into everything. Fluffy seemed to be loose. Fluffy seemed to be just reserving his energy for when he needed it. And when he got up, I was jumping up and down. Not again because I'm the Fluffy fucking number one fan. It's just the fact of, this is MMA, dude. This ain't. You can't come in here and have one facet to your game and think that you can apply that in all situations. Nah, you might be lucky to get into the top 10. You might be lucky to get even into the top 15, but you got to be an all-rounder. And which always blows my mind when I saw what Ben Askren achieved in his outside of UFC, basically. It always blew my mind, because he must have had to punch somebody. Like, he must have had to have some kind of head movement, surely. So I'm just like, yo, where's that skill? How deep is that promotion? That's like the Ryman Cup type shit.
Like, I can't necessarily. I'm not the most like well versed in one championship. That's not like, I'm not gonna sort of sit here and go. But the thing is with Bellator is like you. Sorry, I'll just get a text. You got Phenom Lima, Douglas Lima. Askren's got a win over him. There's no one on this planet that can tell me that Douglas Lima's not an elite fighter. Do you know what I mean? He's one of the best welterweights in the world. Well, I'm not going to say he's, again, this kind of brings us on to the main event. I'm not going to say he's Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns level, because they honestly do look like two of the best welterweights. I mean, you're going to throw Colby Covington in there as well. Like, that sort of top three of the UFC welterweight division, best in the world, no doubt about it. Where Douglas Lima fits in with them, not too sure, but he could chuck it with the the Wonder Boys and the Vicente Luques and even the like Tyron Woodleys, who's looking sort of, I don't want to say finished in it, but he's not looking great right now.
Has he got anything scheduled?
Yeah, he has got a fight coming up, and again, I think it might even be Luque. It might be Vicente Luque. He's got a fight coming up. He does have a fight coming up, which he's one loss away from a Bellator world title, isn't it?
Yo, and that is what the question mark was always over the head of Chandler, isn't it? Because it seems to be, no matter how you play it seems to be you've relegated and you go down to Bellator. You're relegated and you go down to one. And as much as there might be depth and there might be a skill set, I know MVP's cold-blooded, but I want to see him tested in what I believe to be the Premier League of MMA, and that's you can't say still. I don't believe, people will argue the case that it's of even stature or whatever, but I don't believe it, man. And that's why there's still that question mark over Michael Chandler for me at the minute.
No, of course. I mean, there is to an extent, but like, this is going to get into a whole nother conversation. But Dan Hooker is an elite lightweight. That wasn't luck. He didn't beat him by luck. No. Do you know what I mean? So again, like, I don't want to get into the whole conversation of, I mean, we've even spoken about it before, whether that was a sort of a fundamental mistake by Hooker or a perfectly executed game plan by Chandler. You know what I mean? We can go back and forth on that all day. But it's certainly done a lot for him in my eyes, at least anyway, as a fan of him. I'm sort of like thinking, okay, it's like, I guess it's almost like vindicated Dana White's decision to bring him over.
Oh yeah, because
you know what I mean?
And Dana must have held his breath and thought, okay, let's see what time it is. But it's done a lot for Bellator anyway. Even for him to come over and execute on a UFC top 10 contender, top 5 contender, it's brought the whole thing up, which is, again, it's a good thing. Because I would love to see it to be like a Raw versus SmackDown situation where it's like, you've got your guys, we've got our guys, and if we do go together, it could be, it won't be a whitewash, which is not a bad thing, innit? I'd love for it to be more of a draw for me to go to Bellator, but guess what's happening, dude? I mean, the fucking our guy Rumble and your Romero,
the soldier of God,
the soldier
of God.
I'm watching that. I'm tuning into that for sure.
100%. Also, just a note to any UK fans watching: BBC iPlayer have just got a deal to every single Bellator event now going to be live on BBC iPlayer. Every single one of them. So no. I mean, not that people would in the UK would probably pay for a Bellator pay-per-view anyway. No. But no pay-per-view, no Channel 5 for the prelims, and then Sky Sports for the main card. None of that sort of stuff that we've seen in the past. Everything BBC iPlayer. Lucky us, innit?
Brilliant.
Lucky us. There's some great Bellator fights coming up.
Yeah.
Obviously, Romero and Rumble, like we just talked about. But that's part of a whole light heavyweight tournament that's going to be going on. So they've got Corey Anderson's up in there as well. I've forgotten who he's fighting. Lyoto Machida is fighting Ryan Bader. So there's some really, really good fights coming up in Bellator. And obviously, like you already mentioned, you've got MVP over there as well. Yeah. If you're a UK fight fan and you don't watch MVP's fights, then I don't know what to tell you in it. But
you probably tuned into the wrong channel, wasn't it? But yeah, to be fair, that's so good. And to have Bellator on what we call terrestrial TV over here or Freeview is perfect. It's because I want to see it, but it just needs to be more readily available. And up until this point, I'm not going to be going and doing the looking around for this and looking around for that. So for me, as a UK fan of MMA, for it to be available like that, like some of the lower ones are, they're still knocking about on Channel 5 and Spike and all the rest of it. But for Bellator to now be on normal TV, I'm going to be so much more into it, I'll tell you that.
100%, man. 100%, bro. Yeah, so... yeah, a lot to look forward to in Bellator. There's a lot coming up, man.
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick, and I didn't even. It'll be. I'd like to see Bader versus Lyoto Machida. I think that'll be crazy.
That'd be a good fight. Definitely. Yeah, and I think as well, like Lyoto Machida, just for me personally at least, he's one of those fighters that he's almost in the same category as like a Vitor Belfort and Anderson Silva. Someone has done so much for the sport that regardless of where he's fighting, regardless of what promotion he's fighting, regardless of who he's fighting, I'm gonna want to watch it, man. I'm gonna want to watch it, and like the dragon.
To trust me, and to have it just like put in a neat little bow package and handed to me, it would be shame on me to not take it in anymore.
Yeah, that's ideal, isn't it?
It's really... super chuffed about that. I am totally chuffed about that.
You told me you didn't even have iPlayer prior to this announcement coming out. Yo, Louis Theroux documentary every now and again, no?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
That's the thing. I pay for Netflix. It's only during, I think, like lockdown 2 I was like, okay, I was like, watching something now because I'm not really a TV watcher for the sake of I just feel like it's either not my kind of cup of tea or I just feel like it's whatever. I don't watch. I don't really take in TV. I like the internet TV. YouTube is my TV, but now. Obviously, there's things to broaden. I've got the Netflix now, and obviously, being indoors so much more, you have to try to branch out somewhere.
I've been watching a lot of TV. I'm not normally a TV guy myself, and I feel like you. That YouTube is kind of my go-to. I can get down a rabbit hole, man. Like I can start watching some fucking physics lectures that I don't understand a word of, but I'm just there like.
I do. That is
what I'm with in it. But lockdowns made me watch a lot of TV, man. A lot of TV.
I feel like I've learned a lot. You say about physics and all that. I've been down some wormholes of black holes and all the rest of it. So I've definitely taken a lot away from me. But I digress anyway. You know what? As far as like what we're going to talk about. Have you seen any recent interviews from our guy Darren Till?
The last thing I saw from Darren Till was have you seen it?
I think so.
with Mike Perry.
Yeah.
Oh my God. These two need they need to get in a room together and it needs to be filmed. And I don't even necessarily see them fight. I just need to see them talk, bro. Have a verbal confrontation, bro. It's the best shit ever. It's the best.
I was dying. That is the funniest shit ever, man. That is the funniest shit ever. Not only is it good to see Darren Till's quite honest mindset and strong mindset, even after the setbacks, talking about the losses and then honing in on it was only a hair away from going either way, which it really was. Obviously,
I watched it back and it was closer than I remembered it. And I'm a Darren Till fan, so I've even, I've got a little bit of a bias in my head, like a memory bias or whatever, that I probably maybe thought it was closer than it was watching it. But then watching it back, I was sort of like, this is even closer than I thought. Like this, like,
he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's lost narrowly against the cream of the crop, and the closer I can get to a world where I see Israel do the kickboxing champion versus the Till, the Muay Thai. When I see that happen, super gassed. I can't wait.
That's another fight that with the build up will bring out the best in each other. I think with Izzy Till, in the same way that I think Mike Perry and Till bring out the best and probably worst in each other.
Israel could not talk. He not only is that kind of, there's a very UK, there's a lot of love for the UK in Australia and New Zealand. So they already get the jive a bit more than, say, America does. And when Darren Till starts sticking it on him, mate, gov, geezer, all that talk, he's going to get touched. I think that this is the only time that Israel can get touched verbally before a fight. I reckon he's going to get touched up, innit? And I would love to see that. I would love to see it. And I even when he fought Robert Whittaker, I'm a huge Robert Whittaker fan, but it has to come second. Not only him being British, I just like how Darren Till carries on and his fighting style anyway. So I was kind of like, I wanted Till to win just so I can see what it looked like against Adesanya. Because I'm like, I know for a fact if that ever does come about, I'm going to just record it and drive to every single boxing purist or every single anti-MMAer I know and say, come and sit down with me and let's have a watch. Let's watch this shit. Let's watch this. Because I can't wait.
I'm with you 100%, man. Like, I would absolutely love to see that fight. And I got faith as well. I have faith that will at some point come to, not to say that it's, 2 fights away. Like, okay, Till beats Vettori and Adesanya, either realistically, it doesn't matter if he's going to beat Yan or not, because his coach has already said he's coming back down to middleweight, win or lose. So, there's a pathway for it. I'm not saying right now. I'm not saying that's the next fight for Till if he beats Vettori, but there is a pathway for it, and I got faith that I think we will at some point see that fight.
I think we will.
Dana even realizes that, like, if there's any way in which their win streaks and their records and the people that they've beat, if Darren Till gets on a win streak, I think Dana recognizes that if there's any way for that fight to happen without completely disrespecting the rest of the division, then he will. You know what I mean? I think he's sort of aware of how good that can be in terms of a fight itself and in terms of just like a build up and a back and forth between the two of them. Like, I think Dana realizes that, man. So.
They invested a whole lot in the first kind of wave, pre-Masvidal knockout for Darren Till. They invested a lot in the backstory, in finding out about him and telling everybody his story, and it's quite clear that they believed that he was going to be the next best thing, And there's
when he fought Woodley, that was like, I think people forget, and even I'm probably guilty of this myself. Like, people forget how much of a sort of an underdog Woodley as the champion was. Like it was almost a similar thing to what happened with Stipe and Ngannou. And it was one of these fights where I think Dana was just like, oh my fucking God, are you kidding me? You lost.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, he was proper pissed off at that. He was probably upset about patting it. So yeah, like they definitely see Darren Till's worth as a marketing draw, but also as a fighter as well. Like, yeah, no, they do see it.
It's good, man. It's like I said, it's obviously that phone call was great and funny and whatever, but you could see in how he was talking that there's because immediately after some of the losses, I can't remember which one it was specifically, it seemed like he was saying to himself to reaffirm his confidence and all that. Yeah, it's just a loss. I've had to go back to the drawing board. But I was looking at him thinking, rah, does he believe it? But now it's quite clear that he's kind of like, he sees the wood for the trees. He's like, I'm an MMA fighter. We don't go undefeated. We get down and we grind it out. And I love that. And I can't wait to see him mash up some of these people in the division, you know, because it's gonna happen. And hopefully something kind of like can change, or he's got gears that he can finish the fight now, because all of these kind of close split decisions can't run no more. But we'll see. Vittoria's a good fucking test, man. That's a good fight.
As well, man. Vittoria's fucking huge, man. Mm-hmm. And like, Till's not small by any stretch of the imagination, but he did make 170. I feel to say Vittoria ain't never making 170 in a million years.
No.
Happening. He's a big bastard, man. So yeah, like that. Definitely. And
that's for me, that Vittoria versus Till is like a martial arts fans fight. You know, that's like a fighter's. That's a fight fans fight, you know. That is kind of like a only if you know type fight, and I love that because then I ain't gonna talk to no one about it. It's just for us, and I love those kind of in-house fights, you know.
I really do, man. And like I almost thought this is gonna bring us back to what we really do need to talk about at some point. I almost felt like kind of this weekend, because there was a lot of people saying that the card was really top heavy. Apart from the main event, whatever, but sitting down and watching it, they like if you are a fight fan in any way, shape, or form, and someone sort of forced you to sit down and watch the entire top to bottom card on Saturday night, then you would have been proved completely wrong.
Beautiful. On paper, yeah. Fucking hell, it might have seemed a bit top heavy. The co-main event still blows my mind. I don't know what the hell was going on there, but I'll skip over that. Top heavy, how? No way. On paper, that looked like it was. I saw it. I was thinking, oh fucking hell, it's gonna be a long night before the main event. Every single fight delivered in every weight category, and not only did it delivered, it showed. It displayed the best parts of mixed martial arts. There was good submissions, good ground game, good defense. The underdog winning, because again, that's MMA in itself. Big boys, little boys, and everything in between. I was like, this is like a dream card. And on paper, I still to this day I have to go back and annoyingly remind myself the name of these fighters, because even one of the first prelims guy, I think his name is, I don't want to say, I can't even guess it. I think it's like I can't even guess it. But he was getting his leg chewed up by Chris Fernandez, some guy called Chris.
I know exactly who you mean, and I think his opponent was Andre Ewell. Is that right?
Ewell, yes it. Ewell,
yeah.
That's it. That fight was beautiful. Spinning kicks, and the tempo of it, and it looked like it was going to go to Ewell. It was going in Ewell's direction in the beginning. Then it turned around, and geez Louise, his legs. I should have probably followed him on Instagram to see if he got stretched out, because flipping heck, his legs must have been gone.
Yeah, no.
Gone. A brilliant fight.
Definitely, man, definitely. But listen, right, look, elephant in the room, innit? We got to talk.
But let me just say one thing quickly.
Go on.
Well played to you, innit? Well played to you, because not only is it 2 in the bag, maybe 3 in the bag, you called it.
Okay,
and well played to you. And not only that, is obviously it didn't maybe the fashion was different of how I didn't see it panning out like that, but you called it, so fair play to you. So as far as anyone watching, you know, if Fraser puts money on something, holler at your guy in it, because I don't know what I'm talking about, bro. But clearly, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh my god, nah, listen, bro. Like didn't want to mention it. I was going to be a bit humble, a bit modest, you know. But now we have brought it up. It is, yeah, I think it's about 2-0.
2-0.
It's about 2-0 to me. But you know what? Okay, look, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself in it because there's a lot to talk about from Burns and Usman, like so much that we can go into from that. But speaking of the predictions and speaking whatever, do you know what I've been thinking? Ever since the card finished, like almost immediately after the card finished on Saturday, the only thing that has been going through my mind, is I've been looking to next weekend, and we've got Curtis Blaydes and Derek Lewis. And man's been going so hard for Curtis Blaydes.
Yeah.
If he loses, man's gonna look like an idiot, bro. I'm gonna look dumb in it. I was like, have I gone too hard on this? Am I like put all my eggs in one basket a bit too soon? Don't get me wrong. I'm not going back on it now, innit? I'm not going back on it now. We've done it now, innit? We've done it.
Hold on. You say we. Don't bring me into this. This is you.
When I say we, okay, I meant me, innit? Like, come on.
And secondly, what you've done is you've inspired me to go back and watch tape now. And I have done. And I'm impressed. I like it a lot. Not only is he training with Usman's big brother, which is already like who? Like, I'm like, what? Okay, cool. Like, what, PFL? Okay, I'm gonna have to fucking watch that shit now because of that. But he's looking fantastic.
Yeah,
so,
no, like he's looked sick, and like I say, I've done it now, and I can't go back on it. And also, if he wins, which I still think he will.
Yeah.
I want all the glory, bro. I want to bask in this shit like it was me, bro.
I will get some poppers. I'll be talk. You'll be calm.
Yeah, I'm not 100 million% writing Derek Lewis off, which would have been a foolish thing for me to do anyway. Like that would have been poor for me. That would have been very poor for me.
Yeah.
I still think Curtis Blaydes is gonna win, but it's a good fight. It is a good fight, and
really
I was watching some tape with Derek Lewis. And I was looking at, like, he fought, I can't remember if it was his last fight or maybe 2 fights ago, he fought Alexei Olenek. And, like, Olenek could not get him down. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare the grappling ability, the wrestling ability, and, like, the takedown ability of Curtis Blaydes and Olenek. Curtis Blaydes is a level above that, in my opinion. Yeah. But it just does show that Derek Lewis has got some really, really good takedown defense. He's dangerous. First minute of the fight to the last minute of the fight. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do damage control here, really.
No, it's a good fight, man. I love that type of matchup. I love the brawler versus the more technical, and I love the kind of leaning towards one stronger discipline. But obviously, being an array of all of them, I like that versus the kind of because for me, Derek Lewis is good because for me, it started off in that kind of big and good for nothing category. But then he's honing, and I love that. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Don't just rest on your laurels and be like, I'm gonna windmill him, and then that'll be that. Keep honing your skills, and then he's quite clearly progressing. So it's gonna be sick, and I'm so glad that it's stacked up. Like I think when is it? It's this month, like soon anyway.
Saturday, bro. This Saturday
coming. Well, okay, there you go. There you go. I'm fine with that.
And yeah, that's a great fight. And another great fight on that card, I think it's I think it's headlining the prelims, so it will be the last fight on the prelims, is Andrei Arlovsky and Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall, super exciting heavyweight prospect. Yeah. Fighting out a Team Kabwham, Darren Till's team. Yeah, like, I mean, he's undefeated. I think he's like maybe 2 or 3-0 in the UFC now.
Okay.
And I can't remember. I can't, say for sure. But he's been knocking people out quick, innit? I'm not sure he's seen a second round. He's that type of, and from what I've been hearing, like I've listened to a couple of interviews with Till talking about him. From what I understand, he's no slouch on the ground either. He's got a lot of skills, and he's like the opposite of, when you sort of talk about these big for nothing guys. He's like the opposite of that. He's big and technical, and he's really, really good boxer.
That's what I want.
Big, technical. Looking forward to that fight. Arlovsky will be his biggest test. Listen, without wanting to be rude, let's be honest. Arlovsky is past his best now.
Yeah.
That's sort of fair to say. but he's still, he's got the experience, and that's a great fight, a really, really good fight. So that's this. Well, looking forward to that.
No, that's wicked, and I think that to kind of like almost justify why I'm saying this big and good for nothing. Well, I've said it probably like 3 or 4 times. Don't get me wrong, that's like the most kind of like blunt, summarized way of putting it. And the only reason why I really do say it is because I watch a lot of Glory. I watch a lot of big guys that are very athletic, super athletic fighters, high kicks, technically sound, head movement, and all the games. So for me, I know that it exists. So when I go from seeing a big boy fight like that, and then go to what we got, go to the UFC, say, I'm like, there's definitely room for improvement there. And like I said, I hold UFC as the pinnacle of combat because it's got everything going on there. But I've seen some very tasty, technically sound bigger guys in Glory and other kickboxing in general, So that's probably why they get, probably from me personally, a bit of a harsher judgment than anyone else typically would,
But look, we're allowed to do that as fans. You know what I mean? We're allowed to have opinions, and we're allowed to look at someone and want more from them in a particular area. And look, if there's certain fighters that like, let's not beat around the bush, innit? Like, if they wasn't athletically gifted, and even if it's not gifted, even if it's like been putting work in the gym, been putting work in other forms of exercise, if they didn't have physical attributes, then they wouldn't necessarily be as good as they are. Do you know what I mean? And that's like, you can't, that's a fact. You can't deny that. And that's not saying all guys of any size are only where they are because of their size. No, of course not. But that's, to say that, every single person that's ever been at sort of, a reasonable level in the UFC and has got that kind of size has the technical ability to go with it. It's a bit naive, in my opinion, isn't it? You know what I mean? I think that's a bit naive.
Yeah, no, again, and it excuse me, fucking hell, stammering, but it is almost like, that's like ticking all the boxes, and that's asking quite a lot to be big, have the physicality, technically sound, and have the pedigree in your martial arts. That's something that comes around in every other generation. So those people become the Mike Tysons, the Lennox Lewises, the John Joneses, the Gokhan Sakis, the Remy Bonyaskis, Tyrone Spong. Those they become those people, and they are only like, there's probably, for me, my kind of like Mount Rushmore, there's probably like 15 people, and they probably leans towards the heavyweight side of it that I see as like the best fighters on the planet. Probably doesn't go down in a weight class as low as, probably welterweight's probably my cutoff point for and upwards. Welterweight and upwards probably could talk about the greatest combat fighters of all time, in any respect.
Are we talking about like, not to use sort of this word specifically for it, but you can't. I hope you know what I mean when we talk about like the baddest people on the planet. Like, I don't want to say the baddest on the planet, but the baddest people on the planet. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, because it goes into this is where it kind of bleeds out of just being a sport for me personally, because it's like those people that would be on the front line of, on horseback, riding over the hill first, our warriors, our Vikings, our Braveheart guys, those people for me, once they become the honed fighting tool, that for me blows my mind. And not only am I interested to see what they're talking about and how they're moving and how they came about doing it, if they usually trip and fall into these things, like Joe Louis, like an old school boxer. You can't even really say old school. It's like one of the first boxers to be like a superstar, like trip and fell into the sport, as it were. And he was just punching up people for prize money. And then he became like this massive star that everyone wanted to see get his ass whooped and all the rest of it. That's a real good story to look into. Like Joe Lewis's life story is really interesting. And let alone the biggest guys, the Muhammad Ali's, the Mike Tysons, they're all heavyweights. So when it comes to heavyweight division, I'm so happy that John Jones is dipping his toe into that. But at the same time, that for me is the cream of the crop of like fighting, because not only could you he'll strangle you outside the chip shop, he can go into the sport and dominate all of the other potential threats, whether it be a jiu-jitsu guy, whether it be a boxer or a this or a that. They can beat up anyone, and there's a level of respect that comes from that. That's just like you can't be beaten. It's just like some superhero type shit that I never really got over as a kid. Like that's what I want to. That's what I respect in the world, isn't it? Someone that can throw.
Oh, I get it. And do you know, it's funny that sort of part of the reason why I was asking is because I like just anecdotally, I saw I was scrolling through Instagram today and I saw a post which I think had been prompted by the fact that Stefan Struve retired yesterday.
Oh, bless him. Is he ill?
Yeah, health issues. I think it is health issues.
Shit.
That's forced him out because he's still got a lot to give to the sport. I think without health issues and that sort of thing notwithstanding in it. So, but it's interesting that you talk about this kind of these bigger guys and whatever. Obviously Stefan Struve, anyone doesn't know, he's fucking 7 foot tall, and he would come in at 265 pounds or whatever, heavyweight guy. And I saw this post, and it was a comparison of Mighty Mouse and Stefan Struve. Mighty Mouse is I think 5'3". Stefan Struve is 7 foot, so that's 1 foot 9 inches we're talking about difference. So like nearly 2 foot height difference, right? Let alone what the reach would, the difference in reach, whatever in it. And it was, I think the question was, how many Mighty Mouses would it take to beat Stefan Struve, kind of thing, right?
Oh, okay.
And this is I like to do it. Like I never really certainly not from my own personal account. I don't comment on Instagram, and
I do,
but I like to have a little nose in it. Yeah. I like to have a little nose in the comments, right? So I went and I'm looking, right, and obviously I think there was a couple of sensible answers, and sort of people arguing that I think they reckon 2 could do it, and they'll give their reason, whatever. The amount of people, right, that were like, Mighty Mouse is a 12-time champion or whatever it is. Stefan Struve never won a heavyweight title.
Hold on. But this is the
I was like, sorry, what alternate reality have we slipped into? We're 2 fucking feet in height. What the fuck is this, bro?
And that's again, it's like there's such a reality check in being a fan of MMA anyway, because no matter how much you want something, it ain't even up to you. You're a passenger in this. Obviously, all spectator sports. It's not like I'm there like hitting the 9 with Tiger Woods and be like, yeah, man, I'll do the same thing. Everything's we're all passengers, but there's such a truth in this. No matter how much I wanted, say, McGregor to win, there's a truth in the just the physicality aspect of it and the levers. And we're going to talk about those levers and those straights and those jabs real soon. But realistically, those people that are saying Mighty Mouse is a decorated yada yada yada, therefore in a pub Strude will be da 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 da, get punched in your mouth. Those people probably ain't never got punched in the mouth, innit? Get punched in your mouth one time, and then you probably have started having flashbacks of when you was in high school, and that'd be like, oh shit, when you're in detention or something. Listen, you get punched in your mouth, and then you'll know what's what, innit? But everyone in their life needs to get punched in their mouth one time to just humble yourself and put
100%, man.
You know what I mean? Put things into perspective.
I think just have at least one kickboxing or jiu-jitsu or even boxing, one training session, at least one training
jiu-jitsu is demoralizing.
So you know that you ain't shit. You know what I mean? That's what I think, because the amount of people that have never trained but still have this kind of sense of, I could bang anyone, man, really. I could bang anyone. The amount of people is ridiculous. And like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've sort of trained like traditional martial arts from very young and done sort of kickboxing and whatever in the past. But like from a young age, I never had that. I was always aware of how easily certain people could beat me the fuck up. And
yeah.
But I mean, so I think it just kind of blew my mind a little bit when I sort of saw how many people there were that didn't have that kind of reality in their head of like, there are people on this earth that could fuck you up and make it look like it's the easiest, and it not even make it look like it would be the easiest thing in the world for them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a hard thing to come to terms with. It's definitely there's an element of that bubble bursting there that's very difficult to get your head around if you live in a world that's not based on anything in reality. So there's a humbling of it that I think everyone should go through, yeah. But if anyone's watching this and thinking, yeah, they're going to jump on it now, do not try BJJ first, because you'll feel like a child. You'd feel like a child getting ragged around by you don't want to be doing that.
Listen, no, 100%, 100%.
Let's do some karate. You'll be fine.
Like even then, even if we're talking about, like you said, don't try BJJ first, yeah. I don't want to give any false expectations for boxing or kickboxing either. Like you will get made to look silly in it. You're gonna get made really, really silly in it. Like, but it's okay. It's okay. It happens to literally everyone. It happens to everyone in it. But listen. I feel like we need to get some shit out, man. Like I feel like there's like if anyone's tuned in specifically to hear us talk about one fight, they've been waiting a fucking long time, innit? So look, Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman, man, like that was different to what I expected. That was different to what I did think Kamaru would get it done, as we talked about, man. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. I did think Kamaru would get it done, but that was not the fight I was expecting to see. That was not the fight I was expected to see at all, bruv.
Okay. After the end of round one, tell me how much of a percent in your mind did you think, oh shit, Don's got this right? Tell me.
Okay.
Or did you know that there was a longer game and he had the longer? Just what after round one were you thinking, oh shit, Burns could win this?
After round one, after the bell sounded at round one, it was maybe I was still sort of reasonably confident in maybe a sort of 60-40, 70-30 that Usman was going to do it. However, there was a moment when he dropped him in the first. At that point, it was like, this ain't supposed to, huh? You know what I mean? I was like, this ain't supposed to happen. What the fuck? Like I genuinely was like, and the thing is, like, as much as I did think Kamaru was gonna win, I wanted Gilbert Burns to do it. I wanted to see Gilbert Burns do it. So I was there shouting at the TV. I was thinking, come on, you can. And yeah, no, unfortunately, obviously, we will see how it went. But genuinely, I don't know if we've seen Kamaru Usman in that much. I don't want to say trouble, because obviously he did really, really well to recover. And, you know, he sort of showed that he can be hurt and not lose his head and not panic. But I don't think we sort of saw that from him before. So I think that's another reason why, you know, to your question, I was sort of thinking, fucking hell, is this actually going to happen now? Like, are we actually about to see this?
How exciting. How bums on edge of the seats was that? Oh my days. And exactly what I said, it might not have gone as long as I wanted or as deep as I wanted. But when I was saying high risk maneuvers, did you see when Burns was on the ground and he did like a hand planted kind of like a high kick from the ground?
Yeah.
I was like, this is stuff that you do when you know you can do it. And that those two in that pressure bubble made such a beautiful thing to watch, man. Shit. Oh my days. I was saying to you about the kind of like jump in with your knee high and then follow up with a 1-2 that Burns does. The first thing he did, jump in, knee high, bam, bam. And I was like, this is going to happen. This is going to pan out exactly how I wanted it to happen and exactly how I saw it happening. Wow. How good is Burns? How good is Burns?
This thing, right? This is the thing. I can't remember. It was literally like, 20 minutes ago, I said something about the state of the UFC welterweight division. You got Kamaru Usman, who's proved himself to be the best in the world, right? But that Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, right there. Look, with MMA, right, there's always a huge recency bias, and that can go from talking about a fight we've just seen compared to a fight we saw 10 years ago, or you can go talking about a fight we've just seen to a fight we saw 6 months ago. And it still echoes true. So that's why I don't want to remove Colby from the conversation because of that fight with Usman and what he did subsequently to Tyron Woodley. Like, I don't think he's done anything apart from being a cunt. I don't think he's done anything to warrant being removed from the conversation.
Not at all.
But Gilbert Burns is 100% up there with him, if not. I mean, that's not that it's the right time, but that's a fight I'd love to see. Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, bro. That would be a fucking sick fight.
Gilbert Burns, anyone now, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. And remember, I don't know the exact number, but I believe it's something like he's 3 fights into his new weight class. New weight class. And I'm not gonna say that's what it was, or he's gonna take time to flesh out, gonna take time to come into his stride, yada yada yada. He looked fantastic in there. And what he executed and how he executed it, arguable, which we'll break down as best we can from armchair experts as we are, as far as what I think he should have done and what I think he shouldn't have done. But man, I just salute that performance so hard. And on the flip side is, man, oh man, Usman has been saying about his mental strength from the jump here, and I believed it. Don't get me wrong, I believed it. But fucking hell, did he not have the most centered peace of mind to just say, he almost didn't even care that he got rattled. He almost didn't even give a shit that he nearly got knocked out in the first. He knew what he was going to do, and he applied the game plan in such a way. It was Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, scary with the forward movement, the unrelenting pace forward. I was like, this is a scary dude. And when he hit, obviously I wanted Burns to win, not because I don't like Usman, don't get me wrong. I think they're both sick, but I prefer Usman's style of fight, and I love how it looks. But now, Usman's performance has now tipped me over to that side because he can perform under any pressure, any obstacle, any tool you throw at him. The more combination-based fighting, mixing with the wrestling of a Colby. He handled Leon as well. Go on.
You've literally just hit the nail on the nose, bro. Because it's the tools he has. He adapts to what's put in front of him.
Oh,
do you know
my.
what I mean? We've seen if you put an incredible wrestler against him, not only because he probably, like, you know, I don't want to start making calls we don't have evidence for, but not only is he probably a better wrestler than Colby, but you put someone like Colby who's got that great wrestling. Okay, cool. I'm just going to knock you out. I'm going to strike with you and I'm going to knock you out. You put someone like Masvidal who can knock people out with a touch of his fist, and someone who's got really, really fast hands as well. Okay, cool. I'm going to push you up against the fence and I'm going to make sure you cannot move.
No,
I'm going to make sure you aren't, you know what I mean? And that in its in isolation might not be the most entertaining fight that we've seen. You know, the Masvidal Usman fight, you know, okay, cool. It might not have been the most,
but in context though, right? Yeah, go on.
Looking back, do you know what's funny? I even said on this podcast episode, whatever it was a couple of weeks ago, I said I haven't gone back and watched the Masvidal Usman fight. I haven't really felt the need to. Now I fucking have. Because
it's so good. It's so good in context now. Now that you get you've got the full menu. With it, you can say you can look at the Usman Masvidal without context and be like, Usman just kind of like yeah. But in context of the different looks and the different styles, this guy is seeing what's going on, adapting, and not only adapting to see you there, he's surpassing you in that. So whatever your tool is, and obviously what he said now post-fight about wanting to not liking what Masvidal said and wanting to give him another crack, I'm all okay for that. But it's not going to be any different. It's not going to be any different, man. And you know, everybody should probably try to milk Masvidal for his draw power now, whilst he's still the talk of the town. Everybody should use him as an opportunity to get a bigger pay-per-view paycheck in your bank account. And it makes a lot of sense for Usman to talk that talk, arguably, but realistically, is it like a fight that I'm super gassed to see again? Not really, because you know what and I was a fool for it as well, because I fell for it because didn't look deeply into it enough, and I was probably a bigger Masvidal fan of the streak he was coming back on. I didn't probably look into it. Masvidal was harking about the little bit of notice he had. When Usman said what he said about what notice he had, I was like, I feel like a fool. I feel like I've been played, because you done all of that, and the one day you flew here, trained on the day you landed, went back, saw that you could lose the weight, moved over there, carried on losing the weight, and not only that,
with a broken nose,
broken fucking nose, man. What a fucking guy.
People also, like, when you hear broken nose, I don't think, like, obviously, you know, anyone that sort of experienced it themselves probably would realize, isn't it? But I don't think the majority of people realize how much that impacts on your breathing. It's not just about the fact that if you get punched in the fucking face, it's gonna hurt like a bitch.
Oh, ouchie.
It's not just that. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not pleasant, but it's not just that. You can't breathe. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's different. Like, it's breathing through your mouth, especially in these situations. Well, of, like, you know, high stress, high cardiovascular activity. Breathing through your mouth and breathing through your nose are two completely different things.
Worst thing
and you take one of them away.
Worst thing you could do, because I remember Vanderlei, you know, Axe Murderer, he used to do training where he removed the option of his nose and only breathed through his mouth whilst he was doing the cardiovascular stuff. I was like, levels. He used to do stair climbing with just mouth breathing, and he was like, watch, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm doing it. And this was donkey years ago, man. So even when it came to say, when I was training and calming myself down to only be able to, my mouth feels like it wants to get involved in the breathing cycle, but cut it out. Just nose breathe. The amount of calmness that you bring to yourself, and then the better quality of air that you can circulate through your body is ridiculous. So like you said, as far as a broken nose, to go into a fight that's it's a dangerous fight with a broken nose, depleted as he was, flying about as he was, and not even being prepared for this fight as he was, salute to that man. Wow.
Yeah, no, 100%, man, 100%. This is like, okay, though, going back to you know what you were saying about the cashing in on the whole Masvidal name and the draw and the sort of the appeal that he has. I do get that, but part of me is almost a bit like, look, this is the Kamaru Usman show now.
Yeah,
there was probably a lot of people prior to this weekend that were not 100% sold on him, not necessarily on his ability. I think people have always understood how dangerous he is, how difficult it would be to beat this man. That's never really been in question. But his sort of popularity, I think, was what was the issue.
Yeah.
And I feel like that that's not necessarily a problem so much anymore. Like, you're not indifferent to Usman anymore. Yes, there are some people who still don't like him, but you are not indifferent to him anymore. And I think you're gonna want to tune in to see him get beat, or you're gonna want to tune in and support him and just enjoy his abilities. So I'm almost a bit upset as a fan, because I can see so much more for Usman than the Masvidal fight now.
Yeah,
like
I hear that.
The Colby Covington rematch makes more sense. The Gilbert, I mean, obviously not right now, but the Gilbert Burns rematch would make more sense to me. I would enjoy seeing that more. The Leon Edwards rematch would make more sense to me right now. You know what I mean?
It could happen as well. That's not impossible, because if Colby's already talking about how Leon's not on, he doesn't want to consider Leon and blah 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 blah, whatever you're saying. If Leon beats, if it was Chimaev that Leon beat, realistically, that's kind of a piss take fight as far as like weight rankings wise. That's a bit of a fucking piss take. But so say if he beat Chimaev, that'll give Leon Edwards the eyes that he needs to then generate more of a buzz when he does fight, because he's fucking sick. Don't get it twisted. This guy just can't talk for shit. that he just can't convey himself in a way that's universally understood. So I understand. It's almost like you need subtitles, especially in American. We need subtitles to even understand where he's coming from. So that's one thing. But Leon Edwards and Kamaru too could happen because Kamaru's going to clean out a lot of the other people in the division now.
He already has. This is the thing. He already has.
Yeah, he kind of has, right?
In the top 5, the only person that Usman hasn't beat is Wonderboy. Leon, he's beaten Burns, he's beaten Colby. Wonderboy's the only one left, and that's not the fight that I want to see right now. That's not right. Wonderboy, and I love Wonderboy. Everyone loves Wonderboy. Of course you do. Of course we do. But he's not done enough right now for me. He's not done enough for me to. Do you know what I mean? Okay. One thing I will say though, if it wasn't for the outside factors that we've already talked about in terms of the draw and everything and the money that can be made, to me, the Wonderboy fight makes more sense than the Masvidal rematch. Yeah,
of course. And even if it is filler for the next kind of grudge match, because the thing is, because the hype's so big right now and the emotions, it's so recent. I want to see a big talking, build-up grudge match, and realistically, opponent-wise, it has to be Thompson. It has to be Wonderboy, because I'd like to see what it looks like. I feel like it wouldn't really get off the ground, because if you get rid of that distance, which would obviously happen, Wonderboy is almost, I don't want to say defenseless, but what the fuck is he going to do if there's no gap?
Well, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. Even if you look at the Masvidal fight, and Masvidal, like Wonderboy, obviously they've got very different styles, but Masvidal and Wonderboy could both come into the very broad category of really, really, really good striker with great takedown defense. Usman's already proved to us that don't matter. You need more. You need more than that. Even if he doesn't necessarily want to, don't get me wrong, he still managed to get Masvidal down to the ground, but it wasn't necessarily his only path to victory. He can clinch up against the fence and prevent any damage from your attacks. And he can work you. He can work you to the body. He can throw elbows. He can do dirty boxing. The foot stomps that everyone likes to bring up. That might not be the most entertaining thing to watch, but it fucking worked though.
Yeah.
I think that Wonderboy probably falls into that category of someone that he might do well enough on the takedown defense for a time, but it's you're not going to be winning rounds while you're doing it.
No, not at all. And it showed so much of Usman in his personality, his championship mentality, his outlook on fighting somebody that he knew and respected and knew the potential of, and nullifying that. And oh my God, that's just the jab, man. The jab looked like some of the stiffest jabs I've seen in any combat sport. Scary jab. It didn't look elusive. It didn't look awkward. It didn't look like thrown out like a Tyson Fury, like from the wrist. Yeah. It looked just straight piston. Not even that much hip in it. Just out and back. And when the way it blew back Gilbert, I felt kind of bad, man. I was like, oh fuck, that's like blowing his whole mind. It's like pick him, and he just was like, oh God. I was like, fuck, I've never seen such an effortless, energy preserving but like lethal output of a jab of what he did. And then when he was going with the overhands, I almost was like, oh fuck, man, it's gonna.
I do know what you mean. It was a little painful for a start, man. But like I gotta say, the way that Usman was switching stances to use his power hand as the jab, the overhand as well, but not even just sort of like doing it randomly, knowing when to do that. Yeah. That's fucking ill, man. Yeah, like that is, and got to give credit to Trevor Whitman in that respect, because that was some great coaching and great cornering from Trevor Whitman. That was That was
He's a
wicked,
G
man.
though. He's an evil genius of the. I don't want to say evil. He's just a straight genius of the game. You know, he's
People like what? What did
yeah,
you do?
no. I don't even know where it come from, but I think maybe because of the kind of malicious intent that you have to have to kind of execute what
No, of course,
you know?
of course.
But that guy is one of the unsung heroes of the game, innit? Because like what he's been doing with these fighters, and even when he came on Joe Rogan and he was talking about all the things he was talking about, the mentality side of things, and even what he was trying to petition to get a new UFC glove in place and the technology.
Ooh, yeah. And he was like, I've made my own prototype and shit. I was like, rah. A lot of people talk about this shit. Not everyone's going and actually trying to do something about it to that extent to actually make a prototype and be like, here's an alternative.
Mm-hmm. What a guy, man. What an unsung hero of the game. But I say unsung, he's obviously doing well, he's obviously getting paid, he's doing his thing.
Yeah, no, of course. But at the same time, it's like I like, you know, not necessarily us right now, but it shows like this that need to be talking about him to kind of give him that credit of everything. Because, you know, fighters, of course, and you know, UFC commentators, people in the know about him. But I mean, like, this is someone that we could be talking about for a long time as one of the great coaches of MMA.
Yeah, that's real, man. And talking about coaches, bro. You know what I was saying prior to the Gilbert to the Usman Gilbert fight is some of the work that Gilbert was doing with his strength and conditioning coach JC Santana about the mental game of things, man.
I remember you put me onto him actually. I remember checking him out before the fight.
You know the craziest thing right now, even as I sit here and seeing all the post-fight and seeing the fight and then seeing the fight back again, even what Gilbert said in the post-fight press conference, how dare you? He put a lot of onus on the fact of he went too wild when he saw Kamaru rocked.
Yeah.
That blows my mind, you know, because when I was watching, I was like, kill this motherfucker now. Stick it on him.
It didn't. I'll be honest as well, because I would love to side with the professional expert and be like, well,
of course.
I've got to be honest. I'm with you in the sense that I didn't necessarily see that when I was watching it. I didn't see him. And, you know, even Gilbert himself, he talked about it in the press conference and he goes, I go like Cody Garbrandt crazy. And I'm like, when Cody done it, I saw it.
Yeah.
When Cody done it, I was sitting there like, oh, Cody, man.
Like, chill. You're going too mad.
Yeah. That's not what I saw when I was watching the fight. Like, obviously, that's clearly what happened because we've heard it from the horse's mouth, innit? But
crazy.
As a spectator, I was watching it and I was like, you know, I'm the same as you. I was thinking, well, maybe he should have gone a little bit more in the first and then he could have finished it.
Right, because that's immediately after the fight, I text you because it was like, I was so impressed with the round 1 year call. And I was so impressed with the performance as a whole. But like my kind of pivotal thing, which I was like, that's what he should have changed, is I was like, he should have chilled when he saw him rocked because it, to me, looked like he was preserving himself for the long distance. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And obviously, it didn't work out this time because he didn't get to the long distance. But to hear after the fact that he apparently went too crazy, I know nothing. I know nothing about this.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I would love to. I'd love to you know, act like I'm sort of like all with the professionals over here. Me and the guys knew what it was. I was reviewing it like I can't.
It's crazy, and even to the point is I reached out to JC because he went on live the other day, and I've been lucky enough to get some answers back from JC about Gilbert's mindset. Friend of the show, old JC, you know, me old mucker. Yeah. He graced us with an exclusive answer, shall we say, as far as Gilbert's mindset, and because I asked the question of, based on the kind of mental warfare side of things that you had been training with Gilbert up until the fight, how did you assess Gilbert's reaction to rocking Kamaru Usman. So when it was going well, how did JC see his performance? And I'll probably leave his answer to when we post it on the website kabwham.com. But it's very, like I said, it threw me as far as like that's the polar opposite of what I thought he was gonna say, you know. And bless his heart for taking the time to do it, because I actually jumped in on a strictly Spanish only live Q&A, and you know, with my English self, I was like, I can't speak Spanish, but you'll answer this question nonetheless. so he actually answered the question, and we'll be posting that soon on all the socials as well, just so you can hear it from the horse's mouth. But it blew my mind, because personally, if it looked watching it, and obviously I'm telling you now, I clearly know nothing, but it looked like he was holding something back. He looked like he was holding something back, and that seemed like a crazy move to do, you know. But what a beautiful fight, man! What an absolutely beautiful fight.
Great fight. The only thing, and like, listen, I don't want to be like a negative Nancy or a Neville or whatever the phrase is. But just for the sake of conversation, I've seen a lot of people talking about, and this is the thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm all in on Kamaru Usman now. He is the best welterweight in the world. He is proven in his last fight, and you know, the Masvidal fight was, we've already talked about. The two fights either side of the Masvidal fight have been almost, you know, the Colby certainly fight of the year contender. Yeah. This one, performance of the year contender kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's proved himself to be more than, like, multi-dimensional, and I'm all in. However, I've seen a lot of talk, right? And this is where the recency bias of MMA just really ugly head. And I've seen a lot of talk of Kamaru Usman is the best welterweight of all time. Thoughts, please. Thoughts.
All right, knee-jerk, initial reaction, and I've heard it's probably a mixture of hearing things and reading things and kind of probably like gluing those all together. I believe that heavyweight Joe Louis in the, say, early 1900s, say, skill-wise, is not as good as Anthony Joshua would be in 2021, skill-wise. So that being said, I believe that martial arts and all combat sports evolve over time. You see something, you adjust to it, and it's even like, could you say that Pele was as good as a football player as Ronaldinho? I don't think so. They're still sick.
Listen. You don't want to get into that, bro. We'll get flamed by these football fans.
You know, I understand. That's why I never would touch it. You know, I don't want to touch it. But as far as like, I think everything in life evolves. I think people would say, "Oh, back in the day was better because this, that, and the third." But I think that no matter what you say, people have the option now to look back at things and take from it and develop on them, and take ideas and develop on them. And now, whether it's got the same glitz or glamour or mystique or rest of the star quality factors, I think technically the UFC, if we're talking about specifically that, has got better over time. So that means the level of opponent has got better over time. So again, we can go down that path of like, you know, who's in a parallel dimension, who would win in a fight of a dream fight versus blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no. I do see what you're saying. Right? It's a difficult one, because what you say is 100% correct, 100%. What we're talking about here is someone, and this is, you know, for clarity, George St. Pierre, the consensus best welterweight of all time and possibly best mixed martial artist of all time. You know, there's a GOAT conversation to be had, and he's certainly part of it, should we say. We're talking about someone that's retired not too long ago. And I know that it's a different thing with we're talking about, you know, Joe Louis to Anthony Joshua. Yeah. And I know MMA is slightly different in the sense that it's evolved much quicker because it's such a new sport compared to thing. It's evolved so much quicker over that short period of time since George St. Pierre has been gone and retired from the sport. So I do see what you're saying in that respect. However, I think it's premature still. I still think it's premature to call Usman better than George St. Pierre or greater. You know, I don't necessarily even want to use the word better because, like you say, that gets into the whole sort of fantasy fight kind of thing. Mm-hmm. George has already said, he actually came out and said recently that Kamaru Usman doesn't interest him in terms of a fight to come back for. It's not happening.
Yeah, it'll be hard.
It will be very hard. It will certainly be a very, very difficult fight, and it's not one that he wants to take right now. Probably not ever. But like you know, going back to the original point, I think it's not to get into that whole fantasy matchup kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I think when we're talking about greatness and impact of the sport, mm-hmm. I think it's premature to call Usman the greatest welterweight of all time right now. Another couple fights, and another couple good wins. Yeah, I'm on board. But right now, I mean, you know, he's had 3 title defenses. Yeah. One of them against someone who was not the number one contender. Mm. You're talking about the level of competition going up over time, which 100% I agree with. We're talking about George Masvidal, who not to sort of be disparaging towards Masvidal, but George Masvidal was fighting in an era of George St. Pierre. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's sort of part of that same era. Yeah. He's not now, nor has ever been. I mean, he might be in terms of what the fight that's actually going to get made, but in terms of the rankings and in terms of win streaks, he is not now, nor has he ever been the number one contender. Mm-mm. No, and that's one of Usman's 3 title defenses. You know?
Yeah, it's the thing, because for me, it's he's in that territory now because of for me it's all about setting precedent, like new precedents. George set the precedence of having that streak and having that defense reign, and now that Kamaru's now is it equal or is it surpassed? I can't remember.
It's surpassed.
He's now surpassed it.
Consecutive win streak. That's what we're talking about. Is a consecutive win streak. Not forgetting about titles. Just welterweight consecutive win streak. Kamaru Usman set the new record. 13.
And that is worth its weight in gold as far as in MMA. Be able to win and win and win and win, for me, means more than a win and win and win in the boxing world or in many other combat sports. I feel like it holds a lot of weight because there's so many different looks, there's so many different options, there's so many different ways that you could be challenged, and it means so much it holds so much weight because of the level of opponent that'll be thrown at you. So for me, like I said, it's all about setting precedent. And if Kamaru is now setting new precedents that he cannot be touched, imagine he's now beaten GSP's record, and now he's looking around like none of these guys can see me already. So maybe we haven't even seen what's going to happen. We haven't even going to see the length of the reign. So maybe after that, he could double it. He could go on to some ridiculous number that there's no one there that could see him for the longest time. He hangs up his gloves, same way Usain Bolt did, not because of the level of competition, through the point of that I have now succeeded in what I came here to do. Same as arguably what Khabib has done. He hasn't been beaten.
Oh yeah, of course.
He just said it's cool.
That is essentially verbatim what Khabib has said, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I think there's a certain star quality involved when you talk about the kind of legends of mixed martial arts, because of its kind of like ugly beginnings from the kind of like anything goes blood sport type thing. And for me, GSP was not obviously the first kind of wave, not the kind of Ken Shamrock wave of fighters. The sons of those people were the GSPs and the Nick Diaz's and all the rest of those guys. So for me, there's always a reference that I would hold for that particular fighter and that generation of fighters. But we'll have to wait and see, because Usman ain't nowhere near retiring. So if you're going to say who's better, fucking GSP's retired and Usman's still in the prime.
I'm more than happy to concede or admit or whatever you want to call it, that it's looking likely. That we're probably watching someone who's on their way to becoming the best welterweight of all time. Mm-hmm. I just want to hold the horses for a smidgen. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because And look, the same thing happened with Woodley when he beat Darren Till, a fight he essentially wasn't supposed to win.
Yeah.
You know, Darren built up, and Dana had thought, yeah, this is the guy, and all this. We all know what happened. Woodley beats Till, and I see a lot of people say Woodley's the best welterweight of all time.
It's gonna happen.
What happened?
It's gonna happen, and as much as it kind of slightly frustrates me, as much as I think like I want to get in the comments and like argue back, blah blah blah, it's kind of a good thing, because when you start talking at that kind of that Joe Rogan level of he's the greatest man that's ever walked the face of the earth.
Oh, Joe loves it, innit? Joe loves it.
As much as I don't agree with that, and you could argue till you're blue in the face about whether that's hype, whether that's blah blah blah, it's still a good thing, because it kind of it's this picture in your head you get of like the baddest combat sports, the baddest man on the planet, the baddest woman on the planet, and there's some kind of reference there that it's like a holy grail, it's like a holy thing, it's bigger than life, because you can have Barack Obama stood side by side with like all of these other say like massively influential people. For me, in the world that I live in, the great equalizer is what happens when we ain't got shit but our fists and we throw down. That for me like trumps most things in life, and I think that's super important, and I respect it, and I think that's the coolest thing you can be as well. So as much as I hate sometimes when I hear people saying, "Oh, he's the GOAT," everyone's the fucking GOAT now. There's a whole fucking pen of GOATs. Everyone's GOAT. I know who the greatest of all time in my book, and I don't give a shit what no one else says about what they think. But similarly, everyone's allowed to have their own opinion, and it doesn't do anything but kind of bolster the conversation. The more people that talk, the more people would watch, and all the rest of it. So it's like maybe it's like a necessary evil to even have those kind of conversations. But for me, GSP, Usman, it's cool. Usman's still got a lot of stuff to do, and GSP set a lot of precedences, and he was the first to do a lot of these things. And it just encompassed a time in life when there weren't, anything pre-Twitter for me is kind of more important, because it's like it was different. It was so different, man. The way it went about things. And if you hear about some of what these fighters got paid in these legendary fights, it's like, how much? Sorry, what do you mean? I saw that. I saw Chris Eubank versus Nigel Benn won. I think he got paid like $700,000, and that was like the biggest pay-per-view ever. And imagine what. So for these guys to not only have done what they did in a time where they didn't do it for the money, they did it because they just want to be the realest warriors on road. Those people, for me, I don't feel like they could even be talked about, bro. I don't think they were doing it for nothing, and they're still having to work for it, As we were saying about Masvidal still just now coming out of that sphere of being a millionaire and not having to fight and blah, blah, blah. These men have just been doing it because they just love a scrap. So I'm like, these men are on the next level. I don't care, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can agree with that, man. 100%,
man. Bro, but as far as a roundup of this card, I suggest everyone that hasn't seen it, go and have a look just at the highlights. And it's everything that we love as fans of the sport, It's got everything in it. It shows you what the ground game's like, show you what stand-up's like, show you what underdog looks like when he wins, show you what a bit of rivalry does when they clash together. An absolutely beautiful spectacle of the sport. And you should probably tell us about it, because obviously the 259, bro. 259.
When's that coming up? Is that March 6th?
Early March.
March 6th. That card. I mean, look, you've got we've got 3 title fights. That's all you need to know for a start. We've got 3 titles. We've got 3 title fights. I mean, look, we're talking about a card, right, coming up that has Dominic Cruz on the prelims.
Wow, that was new though.
If Dominic Cruz is on the prelims, you know for a fact that the main card is stacked to the teeth, bruv. We got Thiago Santos and Alexander Rakic, I believe. That's how I would have pronounced it. Thanks for the coach. I appreciate that. You can tell I was a bit nervous there, innit? And you got there's another really good fight on that card. I've forgotten it because every fight on the main card is sick, and there's 5. I've forgotten one of them. But anyway, regardless of that, we got the human backpack, Aljamain Sterling, and Yetta Yan for the bantamweight title, Megan Anderson and Amanda Nunes for the. Do you know what? I don't even know. Is that the women's bantamweight or women's featherweight?
Bantam, I thought it was, but again, I could be wrong.
Well, because Amanda Nunes has got both of them, so I don't know.
What's it up for? Actually, she does. She's a big lady, isn't she? She's a bigger lass.
She's very big, but I think she could probably make 135. I don't know. Either way, it's for a title, isn't it? That's all you need to know. And it's Amanda Nunes. That's all you need to know. It's Amanda Nunes. Mm-hmm. Of course, Izzy versus Yan. Last Style Bender versus Polish Power. That's a great fight. This is one, right? This is one where I'm gonna go super committal. Izzy is gonna make that look not easy, but it's gonna be super comfortable. It's gonna be super comfortable for Izzy.
One thing I just want to add to that, because I've been thinking about that, what you said, because we've been talking about that, and I agree. Do you remember what Izzy's face looked like when Yoel Romero hit him?
What are we talking about here? Expression or
what it did to him? How it rocked? It would look like it changed his whole outlook and everything. No. Who do you think hits harder?
Quite possibly Yan.
Do you think that Yan's got better hands than Yoel?
Yes, but that no, I'm not having this. No, I'm not having this. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. That was a very strange fight. The Romero fight was very, very strange. And Izzy did what he needed to do to win. Mm-hmm. And it was that moment that when he got rocked, that he, like, I guarantee you, as soon as that happened, Izzy went, fucking, what did I do that for?
Yeah.
I myself, didn't I? Didn't I?
Uh-huh.
He's not going to make that mistake with Yan.
He's got that in his head now, though.
Listen,
the thing is with Izzy, he is a performer, and the only reason why he put himself in that danger was for the performance element, I believe, because he wanted to make it look great. Yeah. But he learned from that, and he executed the technically sound fight in the Costa fight. He said, I don't give a shit what it looks like. I don't care what you say to me. I'm going to execute it how I want to execute it. I feel like with this being the potential next double champ, I feel like Izzy's very confident in his speed, technicality, and all the rest of it. I feel like he might open up himself to a whoopsie-doo.